Melinda Gates destroys Jeffrey Epstein. Melinda Gates used to criticize the culture of brutal exploitation of young women and girls by some of the world's most powerful men, enabled by the dark arts of billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. When asked about the now mountainous revelations about Epstein and his associates, including details of his correspondence with Bill Gates, emerging from a new dump of 3 million pages of documents by the Department of Justice, Melinda Gates spoke with a raw vulnerability evident to anyone who has known or witnessed betrayal. "It was beyond heartbreaking," she said, "to hear these claims, and personally hard. It brings back memories of very, very painful times in my marriage, but I have moved on from that. I am at a really unexpected, beautiful place in my life, so whatever questions remain there are for those people and even my ex-band. They need to answer those things, not me. And I am so happy to be away from all the muck that was there." Her face belied her horror and concern for the women who were trafficked like disposable dolls. Bill Gates has denied the allegations that he had contracted an STD after sleeping with, in Epstein's words, Russian girls, and had asked Epstein to help him get antibiotics he could secretly give his wife. There are many, many questions that a lot of influential, potentially compromised people in Epstein's web of connections have never answered, and need to. But there's one question that, after listening to Melinda Gates, I find particularly perplexing. Documents showing a headshot of a man next to boxes of text. Jeffrey Epstein served about a year in jail after his guilty plea to soliciting prostitution from an underage girl, but then went on to renew relationships with many high-profile figures. Why is it that so many of Epstein's circle of male friends have never decried or confessed to seeing something suspicious or concerning in his conduct or environment, while the few women who have spoken thought it was blatantly obvious he was an abhorrent creep? Of course, it's plausible that some were oblivious, or in denial, or chose just to look away. It seems clear that many mentioned in the files were not privy to the worst of Epstein's behavior. A screenshot of a video showing Melinda Gates wearing headphones. She's got long brown hair and brown eyes. Melinda French Gates says her ex-husband, Bill Gates, needs to answer for his behavior, alleged in the latest batch of Epstein files. But these men are scientists, directors, philanthropists, princes, hedge fund managers, cabinet ministers, academics, head of the treasury, men of great ability, some brilliant. Are we expected to believe they are all idiots, entirely lacking in observational skills? In 2022, Melinda Gates told Gayle King she had only ever met with Epstein exactly one time because she wanted to see who this man was. She said, "I regretted it the second I walked in the door. He was abhorrent, he was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards." Why has not one acquaintance of Epstein's said, "Yeah, look, I thought it was all legit. We met to discuss some banking, or investments, or Davos, or whatever. But then when we had dinner, and I saw him chasing teenagers around the kitchen, or a British royal crouching on all fours over the body of a very young woman, I thought, this is kinda wacky. Maybe even wrong." We only have the odd glimpse, like the literary agent John Brockman, who says he walked in on Epstein and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, getting foot massages from two young, well-dressed women. Brockman relayed this story to writer Evgeny Morozov, who, after Brockman refused to publicly clarify his relationship with Epstein in 2013, told another friend, "I cannot believe that he knew absolutely nothing of Epstein's wild sexual escapades. Is everyone just too scared of culpability? How will sufficient evidence be amassed if those people don't break ranks?" Who is mentioned in the latest release of the Epstein files? I believed his story. The number of Epstein's mates who did not give a fig that he was convicted of sexual abuse of a minor in Florida is flabbergasting. Think of Peter Mendelsohn, the British politician and former US ambassador who shared top secrets with Epstein and is now the subject of a criminal investigation in the UK after he allegedly received a series of payments from him and was photographed in his white underpants in Epstein's Paris apartments next to a woman in a bathrobe. He said because he is gay, he saw nothing and was exposed to nothing, even though he allegedly frequently holidayed with Epstein. But being gay does not mean being stupid. "I was not knowledgeable of what he was doing," he has said. "I believed his story and that of his lawyer, who spent a lot of time trying to persuade me of this, that he had been falsely criminalized in his contact with these young women. Now I wish I had not believed that story." Is the problem that the abuse of women just doesn't matter much, or that it doesn't seem that abnormal? Jeffrey Epstein's 2008 conviction did little to discourage people from staying connected to the convicted sex offender. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video.